we have the New Orleans Saints taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. This game is going to be played Monday night. For New Orleans, they lost to the Baltimore Ravens 14-17, and Jacksonville Jaguars lost to the Cleveland Browns last week 23-13. Now for the Jaguars, the highlight of the game was pretty much Tim Tebow's blocking. Tim Tebow has now been released by Jacksonville, so we're not going to see any more of him. But the offensive line didn't perform good. As a matter of fact, I was really disappointed with how the offensive line for Jacksonville blocked for Trevor Lawrence. Like, Trevor Lawrence out there, man, like, oh my goodness, man. Like, it was really hard to watch. And the thing about it is, like, Trevor Lawrence, you definitely understand why he was number 1 overall pick. I definitely understand why a lot of people were claiming him to be the next Andrew Luck or the next John Elway. Because when you look at him, man, despite the fact that the offensive line didn't play good, like, he was still patient. He was still going through all his reads. Literally, there was times when I saw Trevor Lawrence go to his 4th read, he literally was dropping back 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there was some people who thought that Trevor Lawrence was holding on to the ball too long and things like that. But I also think that Jacksonville's play calling could have probably been a little bit better, because they were trying to throw the ball deep when Trevor Lawrence was in there. And normally in the preseason, nobody really tries to, attempt a lot of downfield throws. They normally do a lot of quick passes that gets the ball to their wide receivers, so the wide receivers have a chance to showcase what they can do. That's normally how most teams go about the preseason when it comes to play calling. But Jacksonville's trying to air that thing downfield, and he had a really nice throw to Marvin Jones. So when you look at Trevor Lawrence, man, like, I was really impressed. He wasn't holding the football too long. The offensive line just didn't give him any time, really. So for Trevor Lawrence, I'm really impressed out of him. Then, the offensive line. I need to see some improvement, man, because if Trevor Lawrence starts in this game again and the offensive line just continues to play the way they did, man, like, if you're Urban Meyer, man, like, you're going to have some things that need to be addressed, because I didn't think the offensive line was going to be that bad. As a matter of fact, I thought that Jacksonville heading into this season had a pretty solid offensive line. Last year, the offensive line struggled because they had a lot of injuries, but, this year, I thought the offensive line would definitely be pretty solid. I thought this would be a top 15, top 16 unit, and I have Jacksonville winning 16 games, man. So I know this is the first preseason game, not really going to overreact, but you don't want to see your number 1 overall pick as a Jags fan get sacked as many times as he did, and be under that kind of pressure in his first preseason game. Like, can we at least keep this guy upright until the season starts? So for Jacksonville, man, I'm definitely a little bit disappointed with the offensive line performance last week. Definitely want to see it step up this week. The secondary also has a lot of room to grow as well. I wasn't really impressed with the secondary neither, which was another big issue that Jacksonville had, and they had a lot of injuries. So now, you have some more depth there. You have a little bit more talent. CJ Henderson played also, and I just wasn't really impressed, man. So the secondary still has a long way to go, because Cleveland was dotting this team up. And I know it's just the first preseason game, but also you gotta understand that Cleveland's just a far more talented team. You don't really see a lot of preseason teams that are really good, that have the amount of depth and talent that Cleveland has, because there's a lot of guys who are backups that played in that game for Cleveland that are playing in the preseason that could be starters elsewhere. But the quarterbacks dotted this team up, man. Like, Cleveland's backup QBs, remember, Baker Mayfield didn't play, so you had second and third string QBs who were just darting up this defense. Like, I was really disappointed with how the secondary performed, so I want to see this secondary step up. And the secondary, I haven't really heard that many good things about it. Like, a lot of people have been trying to tell me that, the secondary has been having its good days and its bad days, but, judging from what I saw this past weekend, the secondary has a lot more room to grow. So I want to see the secondary improve. And you're going to get the Saints team that right now is kind of, paper thin at wide receiver outside of Michael Thomas and Traquan Smith, man. Like, you're still looking for answers there. So for Jacksonville, I think that this secondary should have a pretty good game, because you're not facing, any great receivers for New Orleans. And, I'm not saying that as a knock, saying, everybody's going to be like, well, JT, the starters don't really play that much in preseason, so what do you expect? And I know that, but, New Orleans doesn't really have a lot of depth there. As a matter of fact, they only have like 2 good receivers, and they're still trying to figure out who's going to be the 3rd, 4th, and 5th option. So for Jacksonville, their secondary should definitely have a better game than what they did last week. Are we going to see more Travis Etienne? We barely saw Travis Etienne last week, so I don't know if it was just precautions, injuries, or if they just had other plans. So I want to see more Travis Etienne. I want to see him be able to show me what he can do in the open field. So maybe try to get him a little screen going, maybe line him up in slot, because he has been taking some snaps at slot during training camp, during this off season. So I want to see more Travis Etienne, man. Like, I want to see that explosiveness. I want to see him show what he can do in the open field with his acceleration and his speed. So maybe try to get him a jet sweep or something like that, but try to find a way to get him involved. I think he should at least get at least 10 or 11 touches, because if he's going to be a big focal point of this offense, you kind of want to get him into in-game shape. So I want to see him at least get 12 touches in this game. We also don't know who is tight end 1. Now, we know that they have a blocking tight end, but Urban Meyer, his offense also needs a receiving tight end. And as of right now, I don't really know who's the clear-cut receiving option. So you guys can tell me down in the comment section down below who you guys think is leading the tight end battle for Jacksonville. Maybe James O'Shaughnessy, maybe. Don't really know for real. Now, for New Orleans, we have the starting quarterback job up for grabs between Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. Now, honestly, even though I'm a Jameis Winston fan, I gotta say, Jameis Winston right now looks like he should be QB1. And Sean Payton was asked about the quarterback battle going on after the game, but he didn't want to talk about it because the team had 6 turnovers, and I understand that. You had 3 interceptions and you had 3 fumbles, so I understand why he doesn't want to commit to a quarterback right now. He's probably going to try to string this out, but I think after this game, we should have a pretty clear indicator of who's going to be QB1, and I most likely think that it's going to be Jameis Winston. Taysom Hill, looked like Taysom Hill. You definitely didn't really see the good arm strength. He has like a below average to average arm. I wasn't really that impressed. He had an interception. He was 8 of 12. He had some okay plays, but overall, I feel like Jameis Winston looked like the more polished QB. I definitely saw a Jameis Winston that definitely looked really confident going in. I saw a Jameis Winston that led a really good drive. He had a nice touchdown pass. So when I look at Jameis Winston, like, he's the clear QB1 on the team as of right now. And everybody's saying, well, Taysom Hill offers him a little bit more, but Jameis Winston right now is just the best QB overall, in my opinion. I think we're going to see that in this game as well. Now, the wide receiver depth, still is a concern. You're still trying to figure out who's going to be your third, fourth options. But Jawan Johnson had a pretty nice showing. He had 2 grabs for 71 receiving yards. Marquez Callaway, Lil Jordan Humphrey. Still want to see what those guys are going to do against the Jacksonville Jaguars secondary that is still struggling. Rookie corner Paulson Adebo looks like the clear cornerback 2 on this team. He was really good. And you definitely see the size and athleticism come on to display. Like, if he was able to play last year for Stanford, he probably could have won the second or first round, man, because he was really good. So if you're a Saints fan, you're definitely really excited about Paulson Adebo. I want to see what he does in this game also, because he looks like the best cornerback outside of Marshawn Lattimore. Like, I think he can have a really good rookie season. Like, he was really great in that preseason matchup last week against Baltimore. So players I'm going to be watching for these 2 teams. Tavon Austin. Remember Tavon Austin? I feel like after he got drafted by the Rams, I haven't heard anything from him. He was one of the most excited college football players that I watched from this past decade. So when you look at him, he had 4 catches for 52 receiving yards and a touchdown. I definitely feel like he could end up making a roster, because I feel like Urban Meyer wants some wide receivers who can do some things with the ball in space. And you look at Tavon Austin, he definitely counts for that category. And I think that he fits really well in Urban Meyer's offense. Like, for Urban Meyer, I think he can properly utilize Tavon Austin in ways that other teams haven't really been able to. Like, I feel like a lot of teams, they got Tavon Austin, but they didn't really do anything that made him the dynamic player that he was coming into the draft years and years ago. So for him, I think, you get him the ball in space. I think he'd be a really good slot receiver in Urban Meyer's offense. So I want to see what he does in this game, if he can have an encore performance. Like I mentioned earlier, I want to see more Travis Etienne. I want to see him at least get 10 or 12 touches in this game. You got linebacker Shaq Quarterman, who had a really good game last week. I want to see how he replicates that performance this week against the New Orleans Saints. Now, Halfback Tony Jones Jr. for New Orleans. I don't know who the heck this guy was before last week, but boy, this guy is really fun to watch. This man is a freight train. He was running guys over. He was mauling guys. Really impressed with what I saw to him last week. 82 rushing yards and a touchdown. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to get that third running back spot, because we know about Alvin Kamara, we know about Latavius Murray. So could he end up having that third spot on the roster? Then Kevin White. The Saints just signed Kevin White like not too long ago. He was brought in on the tryout Tuesday. He performed really well. So I don't know if he's going to be able to play in this game or not, but you know, there's guys who get brought off the street all the time in preseason. There's guys who are brought like 2 days for a preseason game that they just throw in there. So I want to see Kevin White, if he plays this game, man, like, is he going to show everybody why he was the first round pick from a couple of years ago? And Kevin White, man, hasn't really been able to stay on the field, battled through injuries. But overall, man, like, I'm really excited about Kevin White. Like, anytime I see a team sign Kevin White, I got to look for him, okay? Like, I want to see just a little bit. I want to see this guy have success. Honestly, that's why I'm paying close attention to him. So I just want to see Kevin White have success, man. Whether that be the regular season, the preseason, I'm just hoping that Kevin White's able to have a spot on this team, because I see why people keep bringing in Kevin White, because obviously, you know, you have the athleticism, you have the size, so it's obviously something there if teams keep on bringing him in, and hopefully the New Orleans Saints could be that team that, if he's able to stay healthy, that maybe could unlock Kevin White's full potential that we have yet to be shown. So this is it for my Jacksonville Jaguars versus New Orleans Saints Week 2 NFL preseason preview. Let me know some players that you're going to be watching, some things that you're going to be watching also down in the comment section down below.